Hi everybody, TJ Mac Vintage Cards here. Today I'm doing another episode of what I've called Through the Cardboard. Not sure if this will be an ongoing series, we'll see how well received it is, but this is something that I enjoy doing, kind of delving into the history of vintage football. I might go and start doing some baseball and some hockey as well, but I'm really focusing on this era in the 50s for football right now, just to try and impart some knowledge through the cards. So today, again, I'm looking at Norm Van Brocklin, and he had 7 issued cards for Topps and Bowman between 1951 and 1957. And Norm Van Brocklin, he was known again as the Dutchman, and he was a very fiery, short-tempered quarterback. He played in the NFL with the Rams and the Eagles from 1949 to 1960. And how fiery was he? Well, let's ask Art Donovan here. Art Donovan was a lineman with the Baltimore Colts, and he used to appear on like David Letterman, Johnny Carson, some ESPN promos, I believe, into the 90s. And he was a really interesting guy himself, and I'll profile him another day, but he was kind of, to me, like the unofficial storyteller from this era, certainly as a player, because he actually was on the field, and he has a lot of great stories to share from that time. And he tells a story about when he played against Norm Van Brocklin, and it was a day where they were just pounding him, meaning Van Brocklin. And back then, as I've said in other videos, you can hit the quarterback after they throw the ball, and that's what they kept doing. They just kept hitting him and hitting him. And then there was a play after they hit him. Van Brocklin got up and said to Donovan, "You fat son of a beep, I'll get you if you hit me like that again." And Donovan said, "Look, I get paid to hit you. That's part of the game." Well, the next play, Van Brocklin tells the lineman to let Donovan through, and then proceeded to throw the ball directly into Donovan's face. And these were the days where players didn't wear face masks, and Donovan just crashed to the ground in extreme pain. He said afterwards that he rushed Van Brocklin with his head down and his arms up in front of him. Now, the Dutchman, he was drafted in 1949 from the University of Oregon. And he entered into a situation where the Rams already had a firmly entrenched starter, and that was Bob Waterfield. And here would have been what Bob Waterfield looked like in 1950. And he was a movie star as well. He's in the LA area, and I think he was married to a movie star, maybe Jane Russell or somebody like that at the time. And he was the entrenched quarterback. But in 1950, Joe Sider, the coach of the Rams, recognized the talent of Norm Van Brocklin. So what he did is he employed a system starting in 1950 where he put Waterfield and Van Brocklin into what they called a platoon system, where they would rotate every other quarter, no matter what the score was or how either was performing. Now, for the most part, it worked great because, as I mentioned, and when I profiled the 1954 Bowman set, the Rams actually held the NFL record at that time, scoring 466 points, and they still hold the NFL record, averaging 38.8 points a game. So they had back-to-back games that year where they scored 70 and 65 points. And that was also the year they fell short to the Cleveland Browns in the NFL championship game. Now, what is interesting, in 1951, the platoon was still in place. However, Waterfield was injured on opening day, and Van Brocklin played the entire game. And what did he do that day? He threw for an NFL record 554 yards. And that record still stands to this day. His passing yardage total has survived, believe it or not, all the decades of NFL history and even this past happy era. So the 554 yards is still the standard to beat in the NFL. Now, after 1952, Waterfield retired, and Van Brocklin became the starter full-time for the Rams. And he went on to lead the league in passing in 1954 and earned 3 first-team All-Pro nods in 52, 54, and 55. And then after the 57 season, Van Brocklin was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, where he made 3 of his 9 Pro Bowls. In his last season, he led the Eagles to an NFL championship, 17-13 over the Packers, and also won an MVP along the way. Now, after he retired, Van Brocklin, he became the coach of the expansion Vikings, and then later the Falcons, where he finished with a career record of 66-100, and never made the playoffs. Now, he's a very hot-tempered coach, and it just didn't really go real well with some of his players. And when Van Brocklin died in 1983 at the age of 57 of a heart attack, writer Jim Lassiter wrote of him in the Oklahoman that Van Brocklin saw football as a war. He could be tough to play with. He expected a lot of the other players, but no more than he expected himself. If you dropped a pass or missed a block, the Dutchman, he would give you an earful. He was always seeking perfection. And that's likely probably what hurt him as a coach, is that it was a tough time to play football in the NFL, and perfection obviously never should be a standard, especially in those days. It was never going to be achieved. They didn't have the complex, play calling and everything they have today. And certainly, in many ways, the talent level is different, too. So I hope you enjoyed this profile. And again, these are the cards of Norm Van Brocklin, all the ones that would have been issued during that time from Topps or Bowman. And I will see you again for another episode soon. Have a good day.